To choose a JDM, which do you buy first? Well, the RX-7, the Supra, or maybe a R32, R33, or maybe R34, maybe a R35. Well, today I'll be telling you which one to buy between the two. Well, not actually buy. I'm gonna put between the Supra Mark 4 against the the Skyline Mark 4 also. Yes, I think you know where this is going. This is David and Goliath battle today. This is the Japanese battle, not American, not German, Japanese. Yes, I'm Junior, and you're watching Junior on Cars. Let's get into the video. We start off with the R34. Well, the R34 in the United States will actually cost you around $100,000 for the base model. Well, if you compare that, it is actually a little bit less than its current brother, the R35, which will cost you around $119,000. But if you think that is expensive, then it is. Well, if you choose the sportier version, such as the V-Spec 1 and the V-Spec 2 and the MU NUR, which is the NUR stands for Nürburgring. Well, I'm not going to focus on that one. I'm going to focus on the V-Spec 2. Well, the V-Spec 2 in other countries, it'll actually cost you more than $300,000. So it's still quite expensive, even in today's standards, since it was released in 2002. So I mean, it's still a legendary car. Well, what do you get for that? Well, you get a 2-liter straight 2-liter turbocharged inline 6, which will produce around 280 brake horsepower to 397 newton meters of torque. Or if you think that is not satisfying for the inline 6, you could actually have that legendary RB26 DTT engine, which came straight from Nissan themselves. Yes, I'll tell you a little bit more about the RB26 engine, but I'm going to focus more on the stats and everything. The 0 to 60 time of the R34 was around 4.9 seconds, which is 2 seconds slower than the car that I put it against. But the top speed are very similar, which is 155 miles per hour. So they were both, you could tell that they were both focused on defeating each other in those days. Well, what the Supra didn't have was 4-wheel drive. Yes, the Skyline came as standard with 4-wheel drive from the rear LSD, which I don't know what the LSD means. If you do know, tell me in the comments below. Well, if it has 4-wheel drive, you're expecting it to have a manual. Yes, it did. Well, the the Skyline as standard got a 6-speed manual. Unfortunately, you couldn't have an automatic, but I see in my generations, many do try fitting the R35 automatic into the R34. But I think it's ridiculous because, 6-speed, manuals, we're trying to save it because they are vanishing in this kind of generation. Well, let's leave that and let's go into what actually made the R34 very special. Like I said, I'll be going into the RB26 DTT engine. Well, that engine is a very highly recommended engine, which the R34, if you had one, it was a gift and a half. Well, from the factory itself, as Nissan claims, if you had an inline 6 or maybe an RB26 TTT, you can actually unlock from the ECU. If you are smart enough to hack through it, if you could remap it in simple terms, you could actually unlock around 350 brake horsepower, which was more than the Supra itself. Well, besides that, if you strap a turbo on, well, when I mean a turbo, I don't mean a small turbo, I mean a dustbin turbo. If you don't know what a dustbin turbo is, here it is right here at the back. Well, a dustbin turbo actually increases more, brings in more, sucks in more oxygen to give you more performance, such as, turbos, how they work. But if you strap it to a RB26 TTT engine, you could actually produce more than 700 brake horsepower. So that's why in today's standards, many people fit their turbos to their RB26 engine, such as the 2JZ, which I'll get into a little bit later. But is the R34 Skyline better than the car that I put it against? Yes, I put it against David, as I call it, because the R34 is Goliath, as we all know how it works. Well, David, let's see how much it will cost you actually in the United States. It'll cost you around $40,000. That's if you get the right one, because there's 2 versions, which I'll tell you in a little bit later. Well, what did you get into that? Well, you got a bigger engine than the R34, which was a 3-liter sequential straight 6 engine, which will produce around 315 newton meters of torque and 351 brake horsepower. If I'm wrong, I'll put it in the subtitles. Don't blame me, it's a lot of stats to remember. Well, 0 to 60 time I do know properly, 4.7 seconds. Like I said, it is 2 seconds faster than the R34. Well, the top speed is where it actually gets a little bit mysterious according to Toyota. Well, the car was actually it actually did on the lap around 177 miles per hour. But because of many countries felt like that was too fast, it was actually limited to do around 155 miles per hour. But I'm gonna keep to the real fact that it actually did around 177 miles per hour. So it was very fast on the drag strip than the R34. So that's why I call it David, because David beat Goliath, but Goliath still was able to beat David. But let's leave that and let's see what actually made this Supra very don't blame me if I do forget their names. Well, let's see what made the Mark IV Supra very special. Well, the Mark IV Supra had, like I said, a 3-liter sequential engine, but there was also apparently there was also a 2JZ engine, which I don't know much about the 2JZ, but many do fit it to their Supras in today's standards. Well, the Supra, like I said, it cost $40,000. Well, that's two versions. There's actually a 6-speed manual, as we all know that one. That is a very popular version. But if you don't know, there's actually a 4-speed automatic version. Yes, the 4-speed automatic is a very rare Supra, because many actually prefer the manual over the automatic because it's a bit sluggish and all of that. Well, let's get into what makes the Supra very special. Like I said, the engine. Well, the engine is a 2JZ, like I said, or a 3-liter sequential engine. Well, the 3-liter is a sequential, like I said. What it actually does when it means sequential, it means that it does have turbo boost, which means that if you want to give it a little bit of boost off the line, you actually step on the brake and the clutch, you actually put pressure on the brake, and if you push your foot off the brake and step on the accelerator, you actually feel the turbo boost actually go into it. That's why it's called a 3-liter sequential turbo straight 6, because there is a turbo in the sequential part. So it means if you balance it properly and you're able to put it off the line, you can actually win drag races very, very good. And if you choose the 2JZ engine, which means that you can put a turbo in, such as the sequential, but many do choose the 2JZ over the sequential. Well, the 2JZ, what it does, the same as the R34, if you put a dustbin turbo on it, you can actually unlock more than the Skyline. Well, the Skyline is limited to have more than 700 brake horsepower, but the Supra can actually manage around 1,500 horsepower, which in today's standards is the same as a Bugatti Veyron. So I mean, I would have a Supra over Bugatti Veyron if it can actually do that much brake horsepower. Well, I will tell you my conclusion a little bit later. So yeah, and my conclusion is, if you want to choose between the two, well, my conclusion is very, very simple. If you want the R34 Skyline, it's not an issue, because I love the R34 Skyline. I want one in my garage. Same story with the Toyota Supra. I also want one. They are very legendary cars that have trademarked their current one, which is the Mark V Skyline, which is not actually a Skyline, which is the Mark V R35, and the Mark V Supra. But if you want to take my opinion, if you feel like they're very expensive for you, well, there's other options. You can have a Mitsubishi Evo, or if you want to have, you can have a Mitsubishi Lancia, or you can also have a RX-7 RX-7 Mazda. So whatever JDM you choose, it's up to you, because they're all legendaries. They have trademarked today's standards in Japanese. So yeah, alright, this is the end of the video, unfortunately. But if you want to watch more videos of mine, hop onto the main channel to go and watch more videos of mine. And if you like this video, please give it a like. And if you want to know more about my channel, hop onto our Instagram page, which is Juna on Cars. Same story on Twitter. So bye.